my slam time. Gonna bust up your behind. This is my slam time. Gonna mess up your whole mind. This is my slam time. Gonna bust up your behind. This is my slam time. Gonna mess up your whole mind.
Welcome to Work the Left Side. I'm hyped to announce tonight's guests. I am joined by the violent gentleman, Mr. Tommy Jackson. How are we doing, dude? You good?
Yeah, very well, mate. How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm good. I'm 5x5. Looking forward to this chat. There's a few things, obviously, to talk about. Obviously, love what you're doing over at Wrestle Island and stuff at the minute as well. So, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to this. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that comes up to discuss.
Yeah, been a busy couple of months. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like I sort of said, well, we'll go straight into the deep end. The first thing, obviously, I'm noticing at the minute is I don't think it's going to be a stretch to sort of say one of your biggest matches to date is coming up. You versus Lee Joseph Connors at Wrestle Island. Dude, that must have been been exciting to kind of find out about.
Well, it came as quite a shock. I'm not going to lie to you. I'd just left a football match. My team being Everton, so we won't talk about them too much at the minute. But we just left the match, and when you're inside Goodison, you get no signal whatsoever. It's just non-existent. And I was driving home, and sort of got closer and closer to the 62, and then my phone just started going a bit nuts with like loads of notifications and stuff. And I opened it up to find that my first offence is against Joseph Connors, and I would be lying if I didn't say my heart sank a little bit. As far as like, wow, okay. And I'm just super excited for the match. I'm not gonna lie. It's one of those matches that with Joseph Connors, we know where he's been, we know what he's done, we know how good he is. And this for me is just a real opportunity to show what I can do. And as far as I'm concerned, this is just another hill I've got to climb, and it just so happens that it's Joseph Connors shaped, and it's one of those things that you want matches like this. You want to be wrestling guys of this caliber, and to show what I can do, and I've not got any thoughts other than coming out with a win.
Nice. I mean, obviously, the wrestling cliche of to be the man, you got to beat the man. So somebody said that once, I'm sure. So
yeah, I'm sure he did. Yeah, some guy.
Hey, I mean, Joseph Connors, that dude, that is huge. Like you sort of said, if you go to your first challenge, you get past that, mate, you're going to be riding high. Your confidence is going to be like up here. It's going to be like, you know what? Give me RPD next. Give me, everybody and everything. Take it all out, kind of thing.
Yeah, no. Again, it's one of those things. I think with, at Wrestle Island, and I'm very thankful for Pete and Jody who run Wrestle Island, because they were the first sort of promotion that gave me my start outside of when I first started training, and my training school closed and things like that. And when I was coming up with the concept of the original Violent Gentleman and how that looked, and Pete was very bought into that. And it was nearly 3 years ago, the next show. So 3 years this month, where VGS debuted at Wrestle Island. So it's quite fitting that, in that time, all that we've done, and as I say, it's culminating with me with the biggest match of my career so far.
Dude. Right. Well, I'll ask the generic question, because we've kind of touched there a little bit, kind of thing. Like you sort of said, from the early days. So, what made you get, want to be a wrestler? Is it a childhood thing? Have you kind of, did a friend introduce it to you? Was it a drunken bet? I've had that story before. What made you walk through those doors?
It definitely wasn't a drunken thing. Although I think I probably drink far less now. Maybe post match, maybe not so much. But it's it's one of those things that I've watched wrestling as far back as I can remember. And I ain't no spring chicken anymore. So I was very, very young when I was first introduced to wrestling, when Sky One was free, and you had Saturday Morning Superstars, and you had Ultimate Warrior, Jake the Snake. They were, well, Jake the Snake more so was always my favourite growing up. And I've never been a big Hulk Hogan guy. That might be quite controversial, but I've never been a big Hulk Hogan guy. So, but Jake the Snake was always that guy that he was so cool. Even when he was the bad guy, he was so cool. And then it went away a little bit after that. Once Sky One shut down, because we didn't have access to it for a few years. And then my auntie used to film Raw and drop it off at my house every Tuesday. And so it was that was my reintroduction, and it was during the Attitude Era. So every Tuesday I'd be super excited to get home from school to watch Raw and just catch up with what had been going on. And as far as getting into wrestling, it was quite a unique start. If I'm gonna be honest with you, it was the guy who I beat for the Openweight Championship, Brian Aidenson. So my youngest son has a severe bleeding disorder called haemophilia. And basically during this time, me and my wife had started a charity clothing brand. And we asked Brian Aidenson to basically collab on a t-shirt, wear it while he's wrestling on shows, just to raise a bit of awareness of this bleeding disorder, and we can raise some money for the charity. And then we were selling the t-shirts at a show one night, and basically the trainer at the time said, "Why don't you come and give it a go?" At the time, I'd not been in a gym or ran even 100 yards in about 5 years. So I was not in a condition to probably be stepping foot into a wrestling school. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to give this a go. I'm not going to name the wrestling school just because of obvious things that have happened in the past. But I'm sure people can gather where I have trained. And basically, I went through my first session, which was a mat session. So that was a non-in-ring session, just purely on mat work on the outside. And basically, loads of cardio, loads of squats. And basically, I had to walk downstairs backwards for a week, which was, it was an experience. And then, I think that was the biggest thing for me, is that I wanted to go back. And I think if you could make it through that first session in the pain and the awkwardness of hardly being able to walk for a week and still going back, it showed that I did actually care about it, and I actually wanted to do something with it.
Yeah, it kind of shows that grit and determination, doesn't it? It's kind of like a rite of passage. It's like you come back for some time. It's like,
could be grit and determination, or it could be idiocy. I'm not too sure, but I think it might be a mix of both. Yeah.
Just being a sucker for punishment, some sort of sadist, like, I like that pain. Yeah. No, mate, no. But you made it back either way. And obviously, from there kind of thing. Obviously, anything to do with, the charity, anything like that, mate, let me know. And I'll plug it and stuff in the episode description. If you're still raising money for any charities, anything like that, please let me know. Obviously, you're watching this, look in the episode description. If there's anything there, check it out kind of thing. But yeah, that's awesome. That's just like I say. So obviously, I think, like most people, you get into it at a young age, you kind of filter away a little bit, you come back. Obviously, I think you're quite lucky then. Obviously, you kind of had that contact, somebody kind of pointed you in the right direction at the time. There was a school, you didn't have to sort of Google it or, have a mooch around and try and find a school near you. You kind of knew what the crack was. So, but then obviously, it's kind of led from there. You sort of said, obviously, when you first started, kind of being out of shape, just like, obviously that's not the case now. Anybody who follows you on Instagram, we talked about it briefly before I hit record. Dude, you are on a journey, to look the part now kind of thing. Obviously, you've got this belt, you've got these matches coming up. I presume, just for your health, but also, to do the job kind of thing. You want to look the part. You want to make sure you can give 100% and be in the right shape to do so.
No, that's it. And I think the biggest challenge for me is, and again, I ain't no spring chicken. I ain't, in my late teens or early 20s, I'm very much almost in my mid 30s. So, for me, I didn't start until I was it was just before my 30th birthday when I started. So it's one of those things for me that it's been a journey and an experience so far to sort of realize the work that needs to be put in. And I'll openly admit I've not always been the best at applying myself to it and giving my all, because again, you know, being a married man, kids and things like that, it's not always been a focus for me. But, you know, recently, absolutely, it's been almost like a bit of a wake up call for myself, and being able to put myself in a position and say, well, if I am going to do this, I've got to apply myself 100%. Because if I don't, then I'm not only letting myself down, but I'm letting my peers down. I'm letting the crowd down. There's so many different factors to wrestling that, you know, at the time you just sort of think, oh, I just want to be in front of a crowd and do these cool shows and things. And in actual fact, that's not the case at all. You actually need to be able to provide a certain level of performance across, not only for yourself, but also for the safety of your opponent. And, you know, I think for myself, it's been a wake up call, but one I needed to be able to kick on and say, do you know what, if I'm going to be a champion, I need to be a deserving champion and be able to go out there with pride and say, do you know what, I deserve to be here. I deserve to have this title. I deserve to be in these positions. And, you know, I think it is something that, you know, I'm really, really pushing for at the moment, and I'm really, really pleased with my progress so far, but I'm nowhere near where I want to be.
Well, that's it. Like I said, it's a journey, dude. Yeah, you know, I think the whole thing is as well, you know, don't ever think you're going to get to where you want to be, because once you get there, you know, that's, you kind of become, it's like in wrestling, like in anything in life, you know, once you stop, you never want to reach the finish line. You always want to keep going. You always kind of want to keep pushing, you know, improving, learning, and doing whatever you're doing. Well, that's spot on about, you know, like you said, in the ring, you know, people are, like I said, you know, Pete's shown love, he's put the belt on you. So you're doing what you can to be like, thank you, you know, I respect that. I'm going to be better, you know, kind of, you know, you're showing your appreciation to him as he has done to you by upping your game. So,
yeah. It's a huge thing for me, and you know, but I'm sure we'll talk about the match itself soon. But I think that for me was such a motivation to be able to go, you know, I know how to cut a promo, I know how to gauge a crowd reaction, but I also want to make sure that the match that I have indents on people's minds to say, do you know what, Tommy Jackson is a good wrestler, you know, and he deserves to be that guy stood there having that moment with his kids in the ring, you know, and that for me was like the motivation to start me on this journey. And now that I've got there, it's right, okay, how do I now become the best champion I can be? And that's my goal right now, is to be able to go, I am a great champion. And you know, when that reign ends, whenever that may be, it may be on the 15th of September, it may be in 12 months time, who knows? But you know, for me, it's all about, you know, being able to go out there and say, do you know what, I've done my best.
That's it. You know, sometimes there's no shame in losing as long as you've done your best. But you know, it's going to be a while off yet. I'm sure. I'm positive.
I hope so.
To the universe to manifest victory after victory, kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, when you get sort of, so where are you kind of like training now? Then where are you kind of, because obviously, like I said, you've got that determination. Whoever's head coach at the minute must just be loving life, just be like, yes, you know, Tommy's here, he's soaking it all in, let's crack on.
Yeah, so I'm split at the moment between a couple of different places. So I frequent the Island Temple, which is Wrestle Island's own training school. And again, the difficulty being is because I am a season ticket holder, the weekends are a little bit difficult. So I get there when I can. And for the most part at the moment, I'm going to Claw, which is TNT's training school. And again, it's the guys down there. You've got Dean Allmark, Sonadurst, and Lizzie Evo. You know, the names are just alone just ridiculous. And I think every time I come out of any one of those sessions, I just take something away from them. And it could be the most smallest thing in the world, but to me, it could be massive. And I think, you know, those guys are ridiculously talented. But yeah, that's where I'm primarily training at the moment.
Awesome. As soon as you say Dean Allmark, you know, I've got to shout. Just as soon as, whenever that guy gets mentioned, I just take it, not for a second, then just be like, yeah.
He's such a legend. Like the thing is Dean does Mondays, and my Mondays are very stacked, so it's very rare. And I've not had the pleasure so far to get down to one of Dean's sessions, but every time I've been in and around with Dean, he's such a lovely guy, and every time I watch his matches, I just sit back and go, wow. It's just ridiculous. Like he shouldn't. Well, he's got every right to be as good as he is, but I sit back and I go, how can I get to 10% of that level and I'll be happy? He's so innovative in what he does, and I think Tony Storm was even using one of his moves on WWE for a period and stuff like that, and you go, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. But yeah, primarily I go to Lizzie's sessions, and again, Lizzie Evo, just shout out to her. She's just an absolute legend.
Yeah. Does she know you're an Everton fan?
She does, and she gives me shit for it every single time I go. And yeah, we went tonight, but unfortunately we didn't manage to get the session in. But my son came along and he had his Everton kit on, and the first thing she did was give him some shit. So, that's standard Lizzie Evo stuff.
Love it. I was going to say, you just imagine her making you do laps for the sake of it. Like Tommy, why not?
No, she knows I get punished enough watching them, so she doesn't take it out on me, thankfully.
Well, doing people around each other's shoulders.
Yeah.
Or if you get a chance to get to the temple, I think if I remember correctly, I'm pretty certain Sean's right there with you as well.
Yes. Yeah. Sean Only's there on the Sundays, and primarily on the Saturdays at the moment. It's Max Brooker. Again, another big shout out to Max. What a guy he is.
I mean, Sean's a toffee, isn't he?
He is. Sean is a toffee. Yeah, he is. Yeah. So again, I'm sure he's feeling the pain as much as I am at the moment.
Dude, awful. But yeah, I mean, like I said, those names. Yeah, again, Dean Ormock. He's just. I think somebody summed it up perfectly once. And it's just like he looks like your favorite uncle until you see him go in the ring, and then you're like, oh damn, that dude can fight. It's just like to look at him, you're like, oh, he's lovely as Dean. Just like And then you see him go, it's like, oh damn.
Yeah. He's very much like that. Again, every interaction I've had with him, such a lovely guy. And then I generally just don't say a word when I'm watching his matches. I just enjoy them for what they are. Yes, yeah, laser focus.
So, like, when you won the belt, I mean, like I said, that must have just been, because I know there's different mindsets in the business. I'm of the mindset, I know I'm only a fan, so I'm looking at it from this side of the curtain, but for me, if I was a wrestler and somebody gave me a belt, to me, that's a promotion. I mean, I'm looking at that, being like, right, I've been promoted. Somebody's given me, somebody's got that love or that respect, that acknowledgement for what I'm doing. They've given me a belt. I've been promoted. I've now been entrusted to carry this for them.
Yeah, that's very much the way I see it, and I think it's a culmination of 3 years of persistence and basically just making a name for myself in the right ways. I'm not saying that the ride's been perfect by any means, but the effort that I've put into the stories we're trying to tell, and especially with the Island crowd as well, because they love a good story. They love to get the teeth into, the emotion of wrestling rather than it just being, flips and jumps and all the stuff that comes with modern day wrestling. They're very much invested in the characters and what we're trying to portray in the ring. And I think that's one thing, is that you're never ever going to see a 5-star classic from Tommy Jackson. That is one thing that will never happen, but I will always try and get you invested in what we're trying to do. And I think it goes back to, my love for wrestling didn't come from how cool a move was. It was because something crazy was going on. Someone's getting run over, or, whatever it might be. It's things like that, or even just, I still think back to one of the funniest feuds I ever saw start was Chris Jericho walking into Kane with a cup of coffee, and it's shit like that you go, why are they fighting over this? But you know what? I'm invested. Why not? And I think it goes back to again, I'll go back to my Island debut with Charlie Brennan. We built up that 12-month feud of it was basically to put Charlie in a position to go, okay, let's get him here. And and me coming in as the outsider and VGS and the numbers were always against him. And then when that final match happened and he finally beat me, I don't think I've ever had a bigger smile on my face. You know, it's one of those things. He had a steel chair over my face. He had another chair in his hands. A towel gets thrown in. Match is over. The crowd go nuts. And I'm so happy that that chair is over my face because I'm grinning from ear to ear. And it's one of those things. I remember Greenwood coming down and sort of moving the chair off my face and saying to me at the same time, that was absolutely fantastic. You know, and it's one of those things where that's what I want. I want that sort of reaction from what we're doing. And it goes back to the title match with Brian. You know, we had a match last year to become the first ever open weight champion. And then basically Brian was successful on that. And then I basically spent 12 months every single show. If you go back through, which you can watch on YouTube, all the Wrestle Island shows, you will see me staring down the camera saying, Brian Aidenson, I'm coming for you and I'm coming for that title. And that was literally my thing all the way through it. And again, the investment around it was, we had this history together of training together in our old school. We were supposed to team together and become the next big thing in British wrestling. But during lockdown, Brian decided to do his own thing and left me on my own. So I had to culminate this group and become, you know, the not so nice person that I am today and all the fun stuff that comes with it. And what was really funny was by the time we'd made our entrances, I'd attacked Brian a couple of times on previous shows. So Brian was heated. So the dynamic from the match was immediate. He drop kicks me straight away, comes straight through me, bang. He's done. He's going. But the crowd dynamic shifted also, and it became almost like he was the heel and I was the face. And it was one of those moments where we went, okay, we've got them, because that was the plan. It was to put it in a position where I was the guy that needed to win. So again, the footage for the show should be out soon, so I'm not going to spoil how we do the finish and all that sort of stuff. But you know, it was the way we planned the match was to get the crowd on my side, to give it a point where, and when we delivered that, it very much delivered at the right level. And then, as I say, when we went and we finished the match, the reaction was just like nothing I've ever experienced, which was, again, pretty fucking cool.
Dude, that's awesome. I've said it numerous times. I'm probably going to have it on a t-shirt or something at some point. But like when you've got storylines going on, when you've got the fans, you know, emotionally invested, you've got them exactly where you want them to be. You know what I mean? You can work smart. You don't have to work hard. You know, they'll pop for a punch. You know what I mean? They'll pop for just you sliding into the ring or somebody sliding into the ring to confront you. Like the crowd goes for it kind of thing. You don't have to have a 5-10 minute sequence. Yeah, you're telling a story. Fans are on the edge of the seat. Just the simplest, just a mannerism, just a facial expression. Just wow, love it.
Works, and that's the thing is, like, I love that form of wrestling because I think, you know, as I say, the age I'm at, and despite me trying my best to get in shape, it's, you know, it's still tough. Wrestling is tough, and it's one of those things that, you know, for me, I would much rather put on a 10 to 15 minute match with a lot of story and less moves. Like my first title defense was against Drill Off the Page a few weeks ago. That match was literally, I think we hit 8 to 10 moves the whole match, and the crowd loved it. So, you know, it helped that Drill was an absolute muppet the whole time, which was you know, the crowd were loving. So, you know, it made my life a hell of a lot easier. And again, crowd pop for the finish. So, you know, it's different dynamics, you know, of what we're trying to do. Me and Brian, should I say, keeping kayfabe alive, beat the absolute crap out of each other for 15 minutes. And me and Drill barely touched each other and still got the same result. So, you know, that's what I enjoy about wrestling.
That's it. Like I sort of said, I mean, you obviously kind of threw back, like one of your first memories, Jake the Snake Roberts. Not besmirching Jake. Jake was an amazing worker, but it was the character. You know what I mean? Just him walking out to the ring carrying Damien. Man, that's what you remember. That's like the moments kind of thing, or like freaking Damien biting Macho Man, on the arm, or that kind of sort of stuff. I mean, I still popped like when he turned up in AEW, like, and he cut that promo on Cody.
Yeah,
mate, I must have watched that promo like 10 times. It's just it's the character, it's the man
still
himself.
got it.
Oh,
Still
dude.
got it.
But he says, something about never turn your back on a man you respect, and he just turns his back on Cody or something like that. And I was like, oh,
such a cold line.
yeah, that's it. But that's the stuff you remember. Like something, and yeah, again, obviously a wrestling show needs a bit of everything. It needs a story, it needs the the technical stuff, it needs the high flying, it needs the exhibition matches. But that's why everybody's got a spot on the card, everybody's got a spot on the roster, kind of thing. And especially somewhere like Wrestle Island, off the page, those guys the people in charge will help you write work an amazing story, get your character over, and you can just go to work and have fun, basically.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I will say, and especially since I've been with Wrestle Island, is that again, not to peel back the curtain too much, but when we get our run sheet before a show, 90% of the time when it comes to my match, it just says speak to Tom. And it's Pete trusts me enough to be able to go, okay, this is what we're doing today. And there's a lot of promoters that want it their way, and that's cool, and I'm all for that. But Pete does give me the creative freedom to be able to sort of deliver, because he knows that's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy the storytelling of what needs to be done, and it's not to say that I can pick and choose whether I win or not. That's absolutely not the case. But I think the structure of the story and how to put things together in that respect, he gives me a lot of freedom, which again is great.
Well, your character. I was just like say, different promotions, definitely different promoters work differently. But when you've got a promoter who kind of trusts you, because that's the thing, obviously, about. I think obviously for a lot of people, in the UK, for British wrestlers, you're traveling around to all these different promotions, and they're trying to do this and that and the other. And sometimes you're going to have to be like, that doesn't really, my character wouldn't do that kind of thing sometimes, I presume. So if you've got a promoter that's just like, right, you know who you are, you know what you're doing, you know what I want. Yeah, they give you that creative freedom. Yeah. So I'm expecting some stuff between you and Joseph to sort of like, you've like said, you've got to start sort of that emotional investment kind of thing. I'm kind of just waiting to see who cuts the first promo on who, or who goes after who.
Well, again, I'll just say wait and see as far as that goes.
No, I don't want any spoilers. I'm just like, but I'm just sat here like, that match itself is just, and that's the thing as well. When you've got a good story, it's not just again, any wrestling fan, it's the build up to a match. That's so good as well. You get a good build up, you're emotionally invested, you're charged, the match happens, and it's just like, again, it's just wrestling in general. Like I say, you've got AEW for me, who are they struggle with stories sometimes, but they put on amazing matches. Whereas WWE, obviously, amazing stories for the most part, but the matches aren't always bangers, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
for me, like as a product, especially in more recent years, AEW is not really a product that I've ever really been invested in. I will catch bits here and there, especially if because again, I have a Twitch channel. We watch wrestling on there, and there's bits on there where people will say you have to check this match out, and I'll go, okay, let's check it out. WWE, similar sort of thing. I would say that the product has improved recently, and I think that the overall show has improved massively. But I think as far as pure hitting the nail, a lot of the time now, I'm a New Japan boy, and I think it's because of how they sort of display their product, and it's as it's a fight. It's everything is so, the one thing for me is that as soon as the match is over, those ring crew are in there with the ice packs on them. It makes it feel real. And again, I know it's not, but it just adds those elements of that was a fight, and it feels like that. Everything they do, and again, you can tell how feuds are going to play out. Now, New Japan sometimes, as I say, they have multi-man matches everywhere, and they have, but again, you look at the concept of the G1, for example, that's crazy. Those guys, by the end of that tournament, you can see they are working rough. And it's, but at the same time, you go, wow, I could not do that shit. I could not do that shit. But again, I think overall the product that for me is New Japan. I think it just the matches are great, the stories are great, and just I just think overall right now, it did go through a bit of a lull, I would say, especially when AEW first started, and you had a lot of the big stars, shift over, but I think you look at the likes of like Yota Tsuji, who's come through, and he's just ridiculous. I was a huge fan of Alex Coughlin, but unfortunately, obviously, had to retire recently. I thought he was going to be a superstar. Obviously, you've got the likes of Dan Maloney smashing it over there in Japan, which is great to see. Gabe Kidd, another one who has just gone on leaps and bounds in the last few months. Like, he's just again skyrocketing. The world's their oyster, and but yeah, I think WWE is absolutely on an upward trajectory, I'd say.
Yeah, obviously change of management, Trips is obviously getting more involved, blah, blah, blah. It kind of happened a couple of years ago and then stepped back, and now it's back again. So, yeah, I think we'll see the benefits of that. But, yeah, New Japan, like I said, it's just Ash, who does our Instagram. He's a massive fan of New Japan. He just, he pays he's got the subscription on demand thing, everything like that. It's, makes me laugh. He's just sort of say he's trying to navigate it. It's all like he's not figured out how to turn anything into English, so he's kind of sat there trying to sort of select something freaking Japanese, and he's just like, I'm just going to watch that match. Right, that'll do. Awesome. It's like whatever match you pick, you want to a winner anyway, so it don't really matter. So it's like, right, I'll pick that match. But that's it. With the violent gentleman, you've kind of got this. It says it in your name. You've kind of got this when you turn up. Fans know what to expect. How did that kind of come about? Was that kind of, obviously, did you, again, I know when people start training, they don't start training with a character in mind. They go in, they learn fundamentals, they learn the basics, and then they can be like, right, okay, now I need to kind of work on who I'm going to be. How did that come about? Was there any kind of inspiration? Did you have it from a young age and be like, now I can finally do it?
No, it was very much... because when I first started out, strong style was the big thing at the time, and I thought, do you know what, I'm gonna go with the strong style moniker, and I'm gonna throw kicks, and I'm gonna do that kind of thing. And then I soon realised, being 6'2" and sort of 15 and a bit stone at the time, this doesn't suit me at all. And it was during lockdown, and the Violent Gentleman, Tommy Jackson of 3 years ago, and the Violent Gentleman, Tommy Jackson of today, are two completely different people. And even that is just like the evolution of what VGS has become is completely different to what I envisioned. So the Violent Gentleman came about through a conversation around whether I was going to continue after lockdown. It was very much, obviously, I just started to find my rhythm, lockdown hits, and then there's no wrestling, and I'm like, okay, maybe this isn't for me, because it's time, it's a sign potentially that I shouldn't be doing this. The world's always against you in some way. And then it was a conversation. Me and my wife were having a few drinks in the garden one sunny evening, and we'd just been watching a show called Hollywood that was on Netflix at the time, and it was to do with a 1940 sort of post-war Hollywood. And I thought of this character of this sort of like 1940s noir, actor, failed actor who's bitter with the world and basically takes his violence out on people because he doesn't get what he wants. And that was basically what the original Violent Gentleman character was going to be. Then I started the conversations with Christy, who's one half of now Quintessential with his brother Pud, basically around forming a group called VGS, or Violent Gentleman Society. And it very much sort of developed from there, that we sort of started going down the sort of almost like Peaky Blinders kind of route. And then we soon realized that sort of Pete Dunne and Trent Seven, Tyler Bate had already done that kind of thing. So we're like, okay, maybe we might have to shift here a little bit because we don't want to get caught. We were a 3-man group at the time and we didn't want that sort of, so it soon transitioned to more of like, we need to be individuals within ourselves, but also a group. And that's why, I'm always rocking the cap now, and I wear me denim with loads of horror badges on and things like that. It was very much sort of like, okay, I need to express who I am as a person whilst also portraying this other thing. So it's I remember, I can't remember exactly who it was, but it's basically me turned up to 11, and it's that kind of thing. So it still expresses who I am as a person, but also portraying that as a wrestler. And I think when you find that balance, that's when you have a little bit more fun with things and you're able to do it. And I think, you look at the Quinlans and what they're doing, you look at Casey Payne and what he's doing, and we're all still very much individuals, but we all have the same goal, and we all want to do the same things. We want to achieve things. We want them to do well. They want us to do well. I want KC to do well. He wants me to do well. So it's having that sort of support there as a group that helps push on what we're trying to do. And I think, as I say, the Violent Gentleman who I am today is very much not a 1940s Hollywood actor. It's very much just someone who's going to smash your jaw in and kick you in the head when you're down. That's very much who I am. But again, the transition at the moment is very much that we've got a lot of cheers. We definitely get a lot more cheers than we do boos. So again, that also, now I'm going through a bit of a transitional period because I've got to work a different way now than what I'm used to. And I think that is also something that is challenging, especially when I've not been a face for nearly 3 years. It's challenging, but I think we very much have become the sort of cool bad guys. So, but the one thing that I do want to retain is the fact that just because we're now getting cheered doesn't mean that I can't take your jaw off. And that's what I've got to retain and make sure that I still show that, whether it's a former WWE wrestler or one of our temple trainees, you're still getting smashed in the face.
Yeah, you're still getting knocked. That's the thing, though. Yeah, it's kind of very reminiscent of, like sort of said, Austin in the Attitude Era kind of thing. The dude wasn't a face; he was just so goddamn good and likable. Obviously, he got the cheers. He still worked heel, or NWO kind of thing. It's weird because I've sort of spoken to so many people where they're kind of like, they like being a heel. They want to go out there and do this sort of stuff, but because they're so good at it, or the storylines have kind of led themselves to the fans have started getting behind him or rooting for him, and it's just like, oh crap, right, okay, I'm starting to get cheers now. Like kind of they either go with it and roll with it and be like, right, fair enough, I admit defeat, or they have to turn it up to 12 and be like, no, you will freaking boo me, you do not cheer me. Kind of. So it's up to you which way you go. But you mentioned then having to work differently. That's always a conversation I like to have if I can.
Yes.
Is so like when you work in face or you work in heel, are you of the mindset then as well, like you've got to have different move sets depending on whether you're face or heel? Some things you can do as a face you can't do as a heel, and vice versa.
I think for me and the way that, because again, being face now is very, very new to me. I worked face before I was the Violent Gentleman, very early on, and that I tend to find that working face first is harder than working heel, because it's easy to get people to hate you than it is to get them to like you. So the biggest thing for me now is that I know I've got a core group of people who support what I'm doing, and support the group and what we're doing. So I know that now I can't kick someone in the dick. I can't gouge their eyes. You know, stuff like that. I'm still going to be throwing headbutts out there, although they're banned in open weight matches, so I can't do them in those, which again, kind of ironic. That's the thing. But again, you know, it's stuff where I like to think of that if I'm going to continue on the trajectory that I'm going on, I need to think like Eddie Guerrero does. And Eddie Guerrero was a face, still kick people in the dick, still hit people with steel chairs, still behind the referee's back, did that cheeky wink. And that for me is the key to be able to make that transition easy for me. And it's all about that. Just because you're now cheering me, as I say, I'm still going to punch your head in. And it's keeping the values of what made the violent gentleman in the first place.
That's it. You started cheering me whilst I was doing this gnarly stuff, so I'm still going to keep doing it. But I might just give you a little cheeky wink afterwards. I was going to mention Eddie Guerrero, so that's why I kind of like when you mentioned him, I was like,
yeah,
that's the thing. That's the perfect example. You know, you like you cheat, you steal. That's, you know, obviously a heel mantra, but he rocked it as a face kind of thing. That's why he's the best ever. But yeah, you kind of, if you acknowledge the crowd, if you kind of give them a little, you know, just a bit of a smile afterwards, be like, yeah, you know, I'm a cheeky chappy, but you know all love me kind of thing. You can get away with it.
100%. And I think that's what I think, as I say, for me and what I need to be able to deliver is something that I absolutely need to endorse and be able to, you know, as I say, when the going gets tough and I'm backed into a corner, I need to be able to still throw those haymakers and make sure that they count. And, you know, I think a lot of wrestlers, when they do the transition of being a heel and a face, they go, I need to change everything. And it's why? Because it was successful. So continue that same momentum that you had before, because otherwise then you're only gonna end up going back to it anyway. So stick to what you know and what the crowd love. If something's not working anymore, change it. But you don't need to change everything overnight because they're now cheering you. It's
That's it. You're not the person they were cheering. If you change everything, you're not the person that, you know, got them cheering in the first place. For me, it's not the moves that you do, it's what you do after the move. Like I sort of said, you know, if you're working face, have a little look at the crowd and a little cheeky like, shucks, you kind of thing. Whereas if you were heel, you just look at them and be like, yeah, what, you know, it's what you do after the move that makes the character kind of thing.
I completely agree. I think the difficulty is, and with open weight rules, there is a lot of difficulty around being able to get away with that sort of stuff because of the rules and the way that they're set out. There's no headbutts, there's no blows to the back of the head, no low blows, no scratching of the eyes and things. And you know that's not allowed in normal matches, but because there's judges, you can't get away with it. You get caught. So it's difficult to be able to sit back and go, okay, I've got to be extremely creative with how I do this. Because there is limitations to what you can and can't do within the rules. So it does make it a lot more challenging. But, you know, I'm looking forward to, you know, the challenge of being able to get creative with it.
That's it. Exactly. That's the word. But it's challenging, but it also gives you a reason to get creative. You can sit there and be like, right, okay, I can have some fun with this, or I can think about this, or, you know, the VGS, can they get involved? Can they distract the judges somehow so I can be a little bit gnarly? You know, you've got all these different avenues you can go down. But as a fan as well, that makes it interesting for the fans, for me, kind of thing, because I'm like, oh, I'm seeing something new now. Or, you know, I'm thinking of ways to be like, oh, crap, what's Tommy going to do this time kind of thing. It's like, I mean, when you do it, it's kind of like, yes, fucking done it. Awesome. I know he shouldn't have done it, but I'm still like, hype. So,
that's what makes it fun.
Exactly. That's it. That's fun. It's fun and it's creative. And it gives you something to get your teeth into as well, so you don't get bored.
Yes, 100%. And I think, you know, looking at the Wrestle Island card that's been announced so far, so we've got huge main event, Lance Rivera, RPD for the title. You know, undefeated RPD versus, Lance Rivera. It's, the guy he beat for that title, it's huge. And then I think today we've had announced a Team Sean only versus Team Temple, Team Gala.
Gallus,
it's going to be, it's going to be an interesting show. And obviously myself, Joseph Connors, the open weight title. And yeah, so again, going to be a huge show, and I'm super excited for it.
Dude, it's going to be, that. Also, I've had the pleasure of speaking to Gallus several months ago, kind of thing. Because again, I like to talk to one year into the journey, 5 years into the journey, 10 years into the journey. It's always interesting. There's always stories to be told. As soon as I spoke to him, I was like, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. And I'm kind of seeing it build now. And that match announcement today, I was like, yeah, that's going to be cool. Obviously, Sean's involved. So obviously, he knows what he's doing. And just the talent involved in that match, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be. Like you said, though, the VGS as well. Casey Payne, shout out to somebody. I'd love to have on the show at some point. I keep meaning to sort of address and be like, do you fancy a chat? I might.
He'll absolutely be fine to do it. He'll do it for you. Don't worry.
If I don't have much interaction on Twitter or on socials with people, I'm always like a bit like, I don't really want to slide into people's DMs. I'm like,
just tell him I sent you. You'll be fine.
Yeah, awesome. Like, hey, Tommy said to say hi. Oh, yeah. There we go. Breaking the ice. But yeah, that's the thing. You've got that. But that's Rivera RPD match, mate. That's the whole card is shaping up. But that match is going to be. The thing is, though, I'm looking at that match and I'm looking at your match, and I'm like, you've got two potential match of the nights. Right there. No, the tag match will be amazing. That'll be awesome. But for me, yeah, yours and RPD's are the two. I wouldn't want to put money on which one's going to be the best show of the night, kind of thing. Not the best show
pressure then. No pressure then.
Yeah, no pressure. Mate. I'll put it up there. They have to make it. Obviously, everybody loves RPD. But for the record, on Cage Match, Lance Rivera never lost the title, so he technically should still be the champion.
True. That's it. Unless it's Cage Match official, it ain't official. So, that's the. And I don't have a profile yet, Cage Match, so sort me out. But yeah, going back to KC Payne and talking about him, just what a ridiculous athlete. Ridiculous. And I think it's funny because I go back to the start of VGS, and Christy and KC were very much two guys who I instantly reached out to and was like, right, listen, I've got this idea. Let's work together. I wasn't utilized anywhere, and they weren't being utilized anywhere. And it's put us on a real, a big platform to be able to go out and they're doing their own thing. TNT, Pud and Christy are now future tag team champions, and they're on TNT with they've just they're now in a team with Drew Parker there, and what a name to be associated with. And it's one of those things that I look at and I go, okay, if I was to go tomorrow, I've done my part. And it's not to say that they're there because of what I've done. They're absolutely there on their own account, but I think VGS absolutely has helped elevate those guys, and I think it's a massive credit to them how far they've gone on the back of that. It's exciting to see the matches they're having. Casey Payne just wrestled Martin Kirby at Pinfall, and the Quinlans, they're destined for huge things. And as a collective, I'm so proud of them, and it's great to see where they're at. But yeah, as I say, I'm on my own journey at the moment as far as where I want to be, and I think, as I say, it's an exciting time for if you're a fan of VGS.
Oh, definitely. That's the thing, though, because like I said, you can all go off and do your own thing, but you can always kind of pull it all back together again when needs be. I think that's the awesomeness of a good faction kind of thing. Like, I don't know, like obviously DX back in the day, big faction, but you had the New Age Outlaws doing their thing. You had X-Pac doing his thing, you had Triple H doing his thing. But when needed, you all came back together again. Obviously, yeah, the Quinlans, I mean, their matches with that two alone are just off the kind of thing.
This is ridiculous. again, shout out Act 2. Again, pulling back the curtain because I don't care right now. Those are two of the hardest working, nicest lads I've ever met. They are honestly ridiculous. Again, watch their match against Lycos Gym. Just wow. And Jack Knudsen had a match against Ian Skinner at Infamous earlier on in the year. Wow. You know, just ridiculous. And it's one of those things that I look at and I go, right, okay, maybe I should take a step back here because this is just crazy. Like the things they're doing. This is a bit much, but you know, it's the crowd just they and again, this is what I mean is that you have a match like that on a card, and it's not the main event, you know, and then straight after it, you have a triple threat main event of Casey Payne, Isaac North, Connor Klein for the Infamous title. There's, you know, kendo sticks everywhere. There's shopping trolleys. I think we got a Tesco and Asda co-chant going on, and it was just ridiculous, you know, the whole thing. But, you know, that's, again, what makes wrestling so good and why people love it. But, yeah, Jack Knudsen and Ben, they're just ridiculous. So good. Yes, massive love for Act 2.
We love Act 2. The reason, like, when you mentioned the Ian Skinner, I had DJ King on a couple of weeks ago, and he basically sort of said, you know, that Jack Knudsen Skinner match is probably the best match, singles match, you know, in Infamous history kind of thing. You know,
Agreed.
It's
like
the go-to match. Like, you want to see what Infamous can do, right? Have a look at this, and then can watch everything else that we've done, kind of thing. But this is your introduction to it, kind of.
Big shout out to DJ King as well, by the way, because again, I've known DJ King for 20 years, and it's again one of those things where, you know, I look back and I go, how did I not end up wrestling with DJ King like all them years ago? And because again, it was one of those, it was out of sight, out of mind. I was, you know, young and wanted to be in a band and do all that sort of stuff, and just wasn't ever in my thought lines. And then it's quite funny how, you know, he's running a wrestling company in our hometown, and I'm a part of it, and it's great. So, but yeah, big shout out DJ King, what a legend.
Oh, good, love DJ. So much so that we're going to be doing in October, we're starting a whole new show together where we look at WCW in 2000. Every month we'll be watching a pay-per-view. So
just watch that car crash just over and over and over again. That's going to be so much fun to watch.
He messaged me the other day and he's like, I'm just watching Sold Out. I was like, yeah, good luck with that, dude.
Yeah.
Enjoy. But yeah, no, Infamous, the whole Act 2 thing. As I say, I just think obviously wrestling in your neck of the woods, mate, at the minute is so strong. You know, you kind of like got these promotions. Obviously, you've got like the Nation of Collaboration thing. You know, that's how strong it is in your area. You know, you've got all these, but they're all very open to kind of working together, and you know, you're elevating each other. I just love that shit, basically.
It's good. It's great to see, and I think, you know, when you have promoters who work together, you know, and it's, you know, Nation of Collaboration, what a show that's going to be. You know, it's big. Again, another big shout out Jay Apter for putting that platform on, because again, you know, there may be talent that potentially will now get in front of a new audience that never would have had that opportunity before, and you know, it's almost like to test the waters for him and go, okay, oh, this guy's get something, okay, let's bring him in, and it gives people opportunities, and it's pretty fucking cool to sit back and go, do you know what, compared to what this was like, you know, 5-6 years ago, you know, from the outside looking in, it just looked like all out war. You know, if there were shows 2 hours apart from each other, there was chaos on social media, and now it's like, okay, let's run together. And you know, there's so many good promoters out there right now that I'm working with, you know, DJ King, Pete, Jay, Shotty Horror, you know, it's ridiculous. Dave over in Southport for Kingdom of Wrestling. It's so cool to see wrestling thriving again in the Northwest. Honestly, it's such an absolute pleasure to be a part of right now.
It's awesome. That's the thing. You don't like to say shotty as well. Yeah, Soft Pro had them on, obviously massive marks for what Sol were doing. Obviously not just shotty, but all the several heads over there that are kind of running the shop. It's just that's the thing. You guys are over there. I keep obviously I'm in Leeds. I'm a Nottingham boy living in Leeds, so I'm not going to claim love for the White Rose, but I'm here now. But a few years ago, promotion, obviously my kind of local promotion, True Grit, did a War of the Roses show. Probably about 10 years ago, I think it was. And to me, that's always been like, I kind of keep talking to JC and being like, dude, come on. We want another War of the Roses show. Get Joey Hayes over, get RPD over, get the VGS over. You know what I mean? Like just an invasion from you guys coming into Yorkshire.
That'd be cool.
I'm just like, oh, it'd be amazing.
Again, True Grit, from the outside looking in, it's definitely on one of my lists as far as companies I want to work for, and that list is ever growing. I'm not going to lie to you, but I'd like to think that the work I'm putting in now is going to show, and I'll get those opportunities as and when they see fit. And I think it's not just about what you do in the ring, it's how you carry yourself in the locker room, it's how you and it's knowing people and things like that. And as I say, I openly admit I wasn't in the best place even less than 6 months ago to be in a position to go around to all these promotions and be like, I deserve to be on your show. And again, time will tell whether they see something in me or in us as a faction, or me and KC as a team, or whatever it might be. As long as they feel that I can add value to the show, then my DMs are open, shall I say. So come and call. Yeah, send me that DM.
That's the thing as well, dude. Obviously, as a fan, that's what I'm one of those fans that I love fantasy booking shit. I'll watch a promotion and I'll be like, oh, they could do this, they could do this, they could do this. That's why I'm really bad for getting emotionally invested in like certain storylines. I'll react, I'll pop. That's why I like promotions that focus on stories. I like stories. I grew up reading comic books. I'm a massive film nerd. That's the shit that keeps me entertained. That's my hook. So yeah that's it. So, but yeah, anything like that, dude. I'm just like, to me that'd be amazing. Whether the thing is though, like Leeds, Yorkshire, it's very much like your scene over there. We've probably got 5 or 6 really quite strong promotions in Leeds. We've got like in and around Leeds,
the vicinity. Yeah.
We've got Tidal. We've got Planet. We've got Pursuit just down the road. I'm just like all that together. Just be like, I've got Blackheart, who I know work closely with the Temple now, thanks to Sean. I know a load of Temple guys came over to Blackheart recently, so that was quite cool. Yeah. So
cool to see.
Talking films and things like that, then obviously, a few wise men have said, when you're working on a character in wrestling, obviously you kind of got to be tempted to pull inspiration from other wrestlers or from what you've seen in matches and this, that, and the other. But it's better to pull inspirations from like a film or from a music video or, a TV series or something like that. You mentioned Peaky Blinders earlier, obviously, but because you've got a more wealth, you've got a bigger pool to delve into. For the Tommy Jackson turned up to 11, where are you pulling that sort of? Is there anything you've noticed where you've just been like, yeah, I can use that?
I think as a heel, it's easier to. As a face, it's a little bit different. I think as a heel, you look at, and again, being a big horror guy, it's always been something to have that sort of. You feel like there's the finish of the movie is going to happen 30 minutes before the end of the movie. You think the bad guy's going to win. And I think, when you have someone like a Michael Myers character who's strong and silent, but delivers a ridiculous, killing blow to people as he goes along, but doesn't ever quite get the job done. It's one of those things where I can take bits of what he's doing, just the ominousness of him, but I love to talk, as you can tell. So that wouldn't work for me. Then you have someone like quite obscure, for example, Captain Spaulding from House of a Thousand Corpses, if you're familiar with that movie.
Tutti fucking fruity.
Tutti fucking fruity. You know, he's blasé, he's in your face, but he's also very casual with it. And you'll notice with a lot of the promos that I do, if you watch them, they're very calm and they're very direct. And it's not over the top. I'm not emotional. I'm not gonna scream and shout, "This Sunday, It's none of that. It's very much toned. It's here, middle of the voice. Because I don't need to progress. I don't need to elevate myself. I'm here. I'm there, and it's very much centered around the calmness of a killer. It's very much around that, because again, the imagery of killing someone on a horror movie is so huge. But you look at, say, for example, Michael Myers. He stabs someone. First thing he does, just walks away, so casually, and I love that element to it, that I can win, walk away. I'm done. I don't need to do anything with you anymore. Oh, and then if you want another go at me, I'm going to do exactly the same thing to you. I don't need to be emotionally invested in what I'm doing to do this. I'm just going to beat you up. You know, Michael Myers didn't care about killing all those people. He just did it. You know, and that's the kind of sort of mentality. As a face, I'm slightly different, because obviously I have to have that emotive side to me. And I think, as I say, it's stemmed from pain of previous experience. Of, if you've wronged me in some way, I'm gonna come for you. But I'm still gonna be, you've hurt me, so I'm coming for you. It's still gonna be calm. It's not gonna be emotive. And I think emotion has to be delivered in the right way. So, for example, a story we're doing at the moment in Infamous, at the last show, my eldest son was sat in the front row. And basically, there's a group there called Chav, and they beat us up post-match. I got hit in the head with a metal pole, knocked unconscious after winning the match. And basically, I was held up in front of my son with my mouth busted open. So I've now got every right to be extremely pissed off. That's where you're going to see the emotion, because that then becomes the reality of the situation, that you're doing this in front of my family. That makes it real. And that, for me, is the story now I have to tell as a face, is this is now personal. And it's now you're going to see the emotive side of Tommy Jackson. And that's where that plays in. Now, that can either be to my benefit or to my downfall. So remains to be seen how this is going to play out. But again, it's one of those things that it's going to show a different side, because you're seeing Tommy Jackson the father, not the violent gentleman Tommy Jackson.
And that's it. That's what he said. That's the one time you can just go nuts. You can show that emotion. You can show that rage. You can just be like, how the hell can you do that in front of my kids, kind of thing. You know, you just overstepped your mark. You made it personal. This was business. Now it's personal. And you're just like, yeah, you can just freaking go nuts, mate. Whereas, like you said, the counterpoint, there's nothing scarier than somebody who just talks to you and just, it's like really Regal kind of thing, you know, when he's just talking very sort of pronounced or very calmly. Or I think Jericho touched on it when he, like in 2008, when he was heel and he was very spoken, like No Country for Old Men, like the main guy in that kind of thing. It was just very softly spoken. So much so that you kind of had to lean in, just kind of like you had to concentrate to hear what they were saying. They kind of had you know, you was having to pay extra attention just to hear what they said. And it's just but yeah, I've had this conversation with Ash before. He's a massive horror fan, kind of thing. He's like sort of saying there's nothing creepier. I don't know. Obviously, you're a parent, and I was like, I know if my kid does something bad, you know, I don't, you know, the volume goes up a little bit. You have to tell them off. They're kind of like, oh. But if I turn around and the volume doesn't go off, but it gets a little bit more bassy or a little bit more clear, I think sometimes they're a bit like,
sit and listen. Yeah.
Like, oh, I've really messed up now, kind of thing. He's gone past volume. This is direct now. It's like, oh,
that's
shit.
it. It's the I'm not angry, I'm disappointed kind of thing, isn't it? And it's that kind of thing. So, you know, when you take the emotion out of things and it becomes quite direct, I think it has more of an emotive feel, because I feel like when you scream and shout at times, the message is not there. It's not deliverable because the emotion is too forced. And I think when it's precise and delivered direct at a target for something, and you're looking them in the eyes and you're saying, I'm coming for you, it's a little bit more sort of personal in that respect. So I tend to enjoy that kind of promo more than I do the old style sort of, this Sunday on, in this town, at this venue, at this time, I'm gonna beat you. It's not me. And again, it's all about making what we're trying to tell in the story of the match believable. And I just think it adds another level to what we're trying to do in the ring.
Definitely. It's got to be genuine for the fans to relate to it, and for us to know it's genuine, then we relate to it more, we enjoy it more, we buy into it. It's kind of like, okay, this guy's being real. It's not, I know in a sport based on disbelief, you kind of still need that to be genuine kind of thing. It's an oxymoron, but you need to be genuine, within the improvisation. So I'm going to put you on the spot here, because as soon as I find out anybody's a horror fan, this is to answer your question. Right. Don't overthink it. First 5 that come to your head. Top 5 horror films.
Right. Can I have the Scream franchise as 1, or does that have to be? Okay. Okay. So I would say that the Scream franchise is the top.
No, I don't do. It's not 1, 2. It's just a top 5. You could be in any order.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I like my classics. I'm not a great lover of modern horror. So I enjoy the old schools. Again, some quite obscure ones, the likes of House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, and Three from Hell. Again, them as a series. Sticking with the Rob Zombie theme, his remake of Halloween, incredible. I prefer the way that he delivers the backstory and how it's put across. Second one was a bit nuts, but I enjoyed the first one a lot. I'm trying to think now of others that I would probably say. Oh, this is putting me on the spot. they're probably my top 3.
Right, you've mentioned Halloween. You mentioned Michael Myers.
Yeah, I think Halloween. Any of the original sort of 2 or 3. I think anything past that, it gets a little bit nuts. And I've got to say Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well. It's just fucking crazy. It's just absolutely off its rocker, isn't it? I think the whole movie. But I will say there's one that I'm going to give an honorable mention to, and I think it's really, really slept on. Is a movie called 2001 Maniacs. If you've ever seen it.
Yeah.
And I would highly recommend people to check that movie out because it's very, very cool. Again, it was. I remember watching it for the first time and thinking, "What the hell is this?" And then I've watched it a couple of times since, and it's such a cool movie. And I love a good twist, shall we say? So, but yeah, that's an honourable mention. So I'd say Halloween. I'd say the Scream franchise, Rob Zombie movies. So House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, Three from Hell, his Halloween, the original 1 and 2 of Halloween, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre with a shout out for 2001 Maniacs.
And Screams. So
yes, the Screams. Screams, yes, yeah.
Scream is my go-to film. In fairness, to me, that was the film that kind of relaunched. If Scream didn't come out, we wouldn't have anywhere near as many horror films now, kind of thing. I think that kind of relaunched the genre, mid 90s. It was flat on its arse, basically. And then Scream came out, it became cool again. It was like, oh shit, right, okay, this is all right. But yeah, I fully agree with that. And thank you, somebody else who appreciates Rob Zombie's Halloween as well, because I will die on that hill you know, I love the remake. Kind of, I love the fact it's kind of a film of two halves. It's
Yes.
you know, young Michael first half, you know, well, crazier Michael second half kind of thing.
Yeah.
It is awesome. So yeah, good shouts. I would throw out. I'd have an honourable mention just for Cabin in the Woods as well. Just
Yes. Yeah. Great movie.
the twist, the genre, the kind of like it throws
Yes.
a massive spanner in the classical horror kind of mindset. So I'm like, you know, I like
And I
that.
will say as well, actually, I say I don't like modern horror, but I think one that has done its justice is It 1 and 2. I will say, the remakes of those were incredible. I think the first one was ridiculous. You know, the straight to TV double thing with
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry. Again, just nuts, and it just took on a new animal in the remakes, and I think they really did them justice. Another one I was always petrified as a kid of was Salem's Lot as well. Another Stephen King. The blue faced vampire with the two teeth in the middle and stuff, and the kid floating by the window, and yeah, and obviously the fog and things like that. That, you know, all the classics and Stephen King, and he's just an absolute legend, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Anybody who knows me knows I do film polls on my Facebook. I'm currently like doing comedy, so it's like 4 films a day. Whittle it down. Start off at like 200 films in the last couple of months. Whittle them down. I did horrors previously, and Scream won the best horror film. But last time I did it, Alien was in there, and I got a lot of shit because I had Alien in there. I was like,
Yeah.
no, Alien's a horror film. Aliens
It is a horror.
Alien is a horror.
Alien, yeah, I would say that it was under the it's sci-fi horror, isn't it? I think that's the thing. It's a subgenre of horror, and I think, you know, but anything can be horror as long as you've got the right music in it, because that's what makes it scary. It's not actually what goes on; it's the music that makes it.
Shadows.
Yes, it's all about, because again, being a former music student myself, that we learn about that kind of stuff and how it can have an effect on, you know, emotion within. You know, they played one movie with no music in it, and people thought it was rubbish. And in the screen next to them, they played the original sort of thing, and it was blowing their minds how scary it was. So, you know, it shows how it can have an impact on different films and stuff. So I think, yeah, generally, if you don't like horror movies, just watch it on mute and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I'll get back to the wrestling in a minute, but yeah, just on that. It's the Jason films. It's the Friday the 13th where they've got that little it's just like three noises, three noises, three different noises. It loops. It's just that constant sort of thing all the way through it, kind of thing. And you just, it takes you a while to hear it. Then once you hear it, you're like, oh shit,
can't not hear it. Then yeah, exactly.
And you just know, like, oh shit, Jason's popping up at any minute. You got that noise. It's like, oh fuck.
You know he's coming. Run. Yeah.
Without that, it's just, yeah, it's a whole different film. You're like, I'm not really emotionally invested. As soon as you hear that music, though, you're like, yes.
There
So, right. Going forward, then, dudes. Obviously, we've got the Joseph Connors match coming up. We're in September now. There's only a few months left of the year. Only a few months left of this year. You know, anything lined up that you can tell us about, or anything you want to be doing? You know, before 2025.
Yeah, so my main sort of aim for the rest of the year is to get into as best nick as I can, going into the new year. I think, as I say, at the moment, I'm currently just shy of £24 loss in the last 8 weeks. So I'm in good nick as far as where I was. And I think, you know, going into the new year, my aim is to be able to sort of just push on to a next level. I think that's a key thing for me, and making next year a huge year for me. As far as the rest of the year goes, there isn't a lot I can say. I know there is things going on in the background, but again, all I can say is keep your eyes peeled, and it will come. But as I say, yeah, as far as, you know, we're 11 days shy at the moment. I'm not sure when this will be going out, but you know, it's going to be, you know, a huge test for me one that I'm going to embrace with both hands and feet and head and any other body parts I can hit him with. Maybe not the head, because again I might get disqualified, but it's a huge test for me, and I'm super excited for it. But yeah, you will be seeing me pop up in and around the Northwest area over the next few weeks, in different promotions. But again, until they're announced, I can't say anything at the moment, unfortunately.
No, that's totally understandable. Obviously, I'll try and keep my eyes on the socials. Let me know what's going on. I'll spread the word. I'll repost, tweet. Get it all hyped up as much as possible. Plus, you've got to get your revenge on Chav at some point. So we know that's coming up, or that's going to happen. Fingers crossed. Unless they, they chav her off and run away scared. Exactly. You don't want to put it past them. But,
scumbags.
Exactly. But talking to socials then, and where people, in case I miss anything, where can people find you on the socials to, see what is going on? I
have Instagram, Twitter, because nobody calls it X, it's still Twitter, Twitch, and I do have a Facebook, but I very rarely post on there, if I'm honest with you, because it's such a dead social media site. My main three that I update regularly are Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram, and they are all Tommy Jackson PW.
Hey, don't be smirched, Facebook, man. That's why I do my film. Literally, the only interactions I have on Facebook are my film posts. That's it. It's cool though, because obviously it just gets people talking about films, or they're just like, shit, I've not thought that film for years. I'm going to watch that tonight. I'm like, yes, awesome. But it's just comedy films at the minute, so that's quite cool. But again, very selective, like say with horrors. Everybody's so selective with what makes one man laugh. Next person's name like that's just silly nonsense. I don't like it. So, but obviously we'll tag you in stuff as well when we upload the episode. Obviously, Ash will get this posted on Insta. He'll get you tagged in there. If you're not following Tommy, please give him a follow. See what he's up to. If he's on a show near you, go see it. Go buy some merch, because I know you got a nice new T-shirt.
We have. It's our 3rd anniversary shirt. So we have obviously the 4 lads in KCP and myself, the Quinlans, and we also have Stacey Rose, who is our manager in certain promotions, not all of them. So it's an image of us. It kind of looks like the Beatles crossing Abbey Road, but if you look very, very carefully, the zebra crossing spells out VGS. So it's a very, very cool design. That's available on bgsshop.bigcartel.com. Casey Payne's going to kill me if I get that wrong. So I'm hoping that's the website anyway. He's our merch guy, so yeah, I'll leave him to that.
But if it's not, send me over the details again.
I will.
Anything we've talked about that can be clicked on or linked into, or we tell you to go look at, it'll be in the descriptions. Go check it out. Dude, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I noticed the time. I was like, right, as soon as I start talking about film, like, shit, right, we'll talk about wrestling, and I'll have to let you go. Mate, thank you so much. It has been a genuine pleasure. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. And we'll speak again at some point down the line. When you've we forgot all about the Joseph Connors match. When you've beat our RPD, when he's, when you become Wrestle Island champion at some point,
double champ, yeah, why not? Because he ain't losing the open weight anytime soon, so why not?
Tommy 2 belts, mate. It's got a ring to it.
That's it.
It's got a ring to it. But thank you so much for watching. Hit like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the stuff I always ask you to do. It does help. Keep your eyes peeled. We've got a load of cool stuff coming up. And as mentioned, next month we've got the WCW 2000 show starting with DJ King. We've guests most episodes as well. We've got Bobby Cash, we've got Priscilla, and various other people messaging me being like, I want to watch WCW 2000. And I'm like, really? They're like, yes. There we go. Awesome. Come join us in our pain. Tommy, thank you so much, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll see you all again very soon. Goodbye.